Hello, I am here to talk about my plans for the rest of the year. So I know that there's a tag for this which is called the end of the year book tag, but I don't feel like doing that tag. I don't know what the questions are within that one, but this is just going to be a sort of casual sit down video in which I talk about what my ideas are kind of for the remaining months of the year. If you want me to still do that tag, definitely let me know and I can look into it, into doing that. But you know, at this point in time I just wanted a small little sit down, a casual little chat. So, we are at the end of September. I am a week and 2 days away or so from completing my Aurelian TBR, which I really didn't expect to be able to do, but it's really looking like I will be able to do that, so I'm very excited about that. So that means that it is time to look ahead at the rest of this year. What do October, November and December have in store for me? So let's start off with holiday plans, I guess. I am planning to take the entire Christmas break off. I'm also planning to take off a week in November in order to read two of my most anticipated releases for 2024. And I still have 4.5 days that I can fit in somewhere. So I am for the moment hanging on to those 4.5 days, deciding where I want to slot them in. I might put them ahead of that November period that I was mentioning to kind of extend that a little bit, or I might just use it willy-nilly. I don't really have any plans of going anywhere. I mean, on the 29th of December I'm gonna go to London for a day. I might want to go to like some Christmas markets as well, but I don't really have any structured plans of like I'm gonna go here or there. I don't have a holiday booked or anything like that, except for that one day in London. So most of that time is always going to be spent reading, gaming, baking, crafting, doing all the fun little cozy at-home activities that I love doing so much. Now, next month, the month of October, my focus is going to be on finally embracing my inner horror girl. Horror is not my favorite genre. Horror is not something I like in movies at all. I don't like to be tense throughout the entire movie, trying to avoid a jump scare, but I do kinda enjoy the concepts behind horror, and I do want to give the genre as in the book format more of a go. I feel like the horrors that I have read, I've enjoyed, maybe not always fully, maybe not always the entire execution of it, but I've kind of always enjoyed reading that genre, but I've never really given it much opportunities. It's never something that is front and center of my TBR that takes full priority, and so it's easy for my brain to be like every single time that a horror crosses my path, like, oh yes, that would be nice to read in October. But then when October comes around, I've made all these plans for what needs to be on my reading TBR, that there's no room for those horrors. So I'm hoping to make a difference with that in October this year, though I will also already say that it's also going to be the month of rereading a few books in order for my November plans to come to fruition. So am I already self-sabotaging the October horror mood again? Potentially. We'll just have to see. I have every intention of at least slotting in a few horrors in there, and I am planning a reading weekend in the weekend of the 18th of October, in which I am going to be sprinting quite a fair bit, and in which we are going to all together try and read as many of our shortest books as possible. And I personally am going to be focusing on the shortest books on my horror want to read in order to maximize the amount of horror books that I can get through within the month of October. But so, as indicated, the month of October is also going to be reread heavy. So I have a few series in which I want to be making progress in, for which I want to reread the first book. Either because I don't remember enough of it, but for a lot of these as well because I just want to give the sequel its best chance by fully rereading the first one, because I love the first one so much. I want to have all of the details front and center clear in my mind before going into the sequel. So there will be a lot of rereading in October as well. And then, technically speaking, I should also put some Booker Prize reading in there. And I feel like what happens every year is that the Booker Prize is just it's just not a priority. And maybe there are lessons to be learned here that, you know, this prize just isn't important to me. I want to be the type of person who reads the Booker Prize and who follows the prize and reads all of these books and has an insightful opinion about which book should be winning it. And I want that, I do, but not enough to prioritize it. We saw in the month of August, I planned to read 3, I read 1. Month of September, I have read 1 so far, and have I read 1 so far? No, I haven't. I have read none so far. I have 2 on my TBR for this month. We are the 20th of September, and these 2 are going to be some of the 2 final books that I'm going to be getting to within this month, which should also tell you something about how important they are to me, because they are the lowest on the priorities, clearly. So yes, I am expecting to put 1 at least, I hope, into the October month, just to be able to have read like a quarter of the Booker Prize. But yeah, clearly what we've learned from this whole situation again is that the Booker Prize is relegated to the lowest priority. And so while I might have intentions to read the Booker Prize long list and be able to give my opinions, in reality it is always shifting for other plans and other priorities. And so if I have to decide between reading more horror and rereading the books that I need for my November plans and the Booker, then yes, the Booker is indeed the thing that drops to the bottom that I don't care enough about. And so for next year's, maybe I should just already lower my plans and be like, I'll read like a Booker Prize book a month, maybe for the 4 months of the prize. And then if I by any chance, in most likelihood, I haven't read a winner, maybe I'll just read a winner then in the month of December after the prize, and thus like settle for having read 5 Booker Prize books within the year, each year. And that will already be actually a nice achievement. That will be close to having read half of the Booker list every year. That would be nice as well, right? Maybe it was too ambitious for me to kind of plan to read the whole long list when I know that I very rarely have the bandwidth to put so much of my TBR on something that clearly isn't all that important to me when push comes to shove, because in reality it is always taking last place. In November, I am going to be focusing on sequels. November is the month of the sequel. I have so many books for which the sequels are going to be slotted into that month. First up, I have 2 books that come out in that month, which are sequels to my favorite books of 2024. I never made a favorite books of 2024 video, but I do have them. And so my 2 favorite books of 2024, The Will of the Many and The Silver Blood Promise, have sequels that come out within a few days of one another, and so I am going to be taking that week off in order to read both of these upon release dates, which is a little bit sad for Herkiet that they're in separate months, because, you know, otherwise I could have counted both of them for Herkiet. Now I have to choose which one will count for Herkiet. But in any case, so my 2 favorite sequels are coming out. I am finally gonna prioritize reading The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah, which is a sequel to and every single time I have to, The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah, which is a book that came out like 2 or 3 years ago at this point in time, and I've been eagerly anticipating this sequel coming out, and it was just like no news came out about it, and then it was all of a sudden it was there, and I was like, oh yeah, finally. And we are half a year later and I still haven't read it, but it is happening in November. Then I will also be reading Those Above, which is a sequel to Those Below, which is the oldest book on my TBR at this point, so the only 2024 purchase that I still have left. And then I will potentially also take the opportunity, as it is the month of the sequel, to read the Serpent something, the third book in the Lady Trent series, because I was gifted that book for my birthday by Ewald, and so that could also be a nice opportunity to read that. And then I'm also going to be reading the sequel to Anne of Green Gables within the month of November as well. So yeah, the month of the sequel. If there's room for anything else, we'll see. But so far that is all that is slotted into that. And so yes, as indicated, ideally speaking, I should put a Booker Prize book in there as well. And then we get to the month of December, for which at this point in time, I have no plans. Now, as indicated, I'm going to be taking the final 2 weeks, so mainly the final 2 weeks of December, though like part of that final week is January. I'm going to be taking that entire time off. I am very much looking forward to just embracing the season and just picking up stuff as I feel like it in that moment. So I will not be making plans for those 2 weeks. Therefore, when it comes to my December reading plans, they should be short. Or like not short, like they should be limited. I can maybe like plan 2 or 3 books, you know, like I shouldn't put too much into that December TBR, because I don't want to run the risk of having that extend into that period that I want to have full freedom. So I am just going to be wise and not really make any plans for that at this point in time yet. I have like, I've shared this one in a previous video as well. I have like a list of all of my TBR books at this point in time. There will be more added by then. There will be books that have disappeared by then as well, of course. And you can kind of see the ones that have, like there's one that has the down emoji, that's the book that I'm currently reading. Then the one that have like the play button, they are for the month of September, which is when I'm filming this. The forward button is the month of October, the even further button is the month of November, and then the question marks are the ones that aren't slotted in. So those are books that can potentially make their way into either one of these previous months that I've talked about, or potentially December, but for the time being I'm not committing them to any spot because of what I've just said. I don't want to over crowd the December TBR. By the time that December comes rolling around, it's very much possible that I've like made completely different plans for what I'm going to be doing with my December reading, that somebody has announced another buddy read or something like that, and that I will be tackling that all of a sudden. So it is just too early to tell for me now, because of the fact that I want to be able to fully just choose whatever I want for the final 2 weeks of the year. And yeah, I guess what I should also still mention is a few buddy reads. So another buddy read that might happen is for the remainder of the Dawn series by Octavia E. Butler. So I read the first book of that in September just now, and we might actually continue that series along before the end of the year. So that might still happen as well. And then I will be reading Braiding Sweetgrass for the Climates Reading Challenge. I don't know, I think that there's another book that they are reading as well. For that, I'm not entirely sure yet whether I'm going to be reading that or not. But yeah, the Braiding Sweetgrass one, I definitely do think I want to be tackling along that one. And then of course, yes, what I haven't mentioned yet is Terra Ignota. So this is a series that I will be buddy reading with some people over on the Discord for Jolene, Jolene Reads, and then I'll also be buddy reading it over on Storygraph with Tafti, a subscriber of mine. So if anybody is interested, let me know and I'll add you as well. But this is a sci-fi series that I'm going to be reading across the 4 remaining months of the year, so I'm going to be starting it any minute now, hoping to still finish the first book within September, and then I'll continue 1 book a month for the remainder of the year. So yeah, the plans are already kind of tight for the months of October and November now, and I can definitely see that I'm going to do the bare minimum when it comes to the Booker Prize. But so yeah, what more do you guys want to know about my plans for the remainder of the year? Definitely ask away in the comment section and I will definitely try and respond. But so yeah, those are kind of like where my thoughts are leaning at this point in time when it comes to my reading plans for the rest of the year. And as indicated, the month of December is still like a full free pass. Like I'm not going there yet mentally in order of like deciding where my reading is going to be by that point in time. But so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope to see you for the next one. Bye!